you again. Either you enjoy these investigations, or you've developed a taste for slow-motion institutional collapse. Welcome to another in the series of what seems to be never-ending watching the Defectives, where I, Barrett Holmes, examine the curious species known as the migratory failed Tory politician boarding the Titanic political vehicle known as deformed UK plc, and attempt to determine whether they are evolving or just simply mutating. Tonight's specimen, Mark Reckless. Yes, that is his real name. No satire required. Nature beat me to it. A name that saves time. Mark Reckless. A name so accurate it feels like a clerical error in destiny. Most people spend their lives trying to escape their reputation. He appears to have leaned into it. Hard. Like a man reading his own warning label and thinking, challenge accepted. His origins, selective identity. Born in London. Grandson of an Irish politician. Reckless is the grandson of Henry McDivitt, who served as a Fee na Foil TD for Donegal East in Dáil Éireann, the lower house of the A's, the Irish Parliament. From 1938 until 1943, mother emigrated to Britain. Yet he insists he doesn't see himself as having an immigrant background. Of course not. Immigration, like irony, is something that only affects other people. He is not contradictory. He is selectively consistent, which is far worse. Educated beyond usefulness. Marlborough, Oxford. He then pursued postgraduate studies at Columbia Business School in the United States, receiving an MBA. At Columbia, he studied alongside writer Jacob Appel, and is the subject of several thinly veiled anecdotes in Appel's satire, The Man Who Wouldn't Stand Up. Was this satire or a realistic depiction of a day in the life of a male Westminster MP often seen propping up the stranger's bar, after several taxpayer-subsidized glasses of alcohol? Speaking of the bar after university, he trained as a barrister at the College of Law, gaining an LLB, and was called to the bar in 2007. An educational journey that screams, I have been trained to run things, and yet somehow produces. This seemed like a good idea at the time. Degrees in philosophy, politics and economics, PPE for short, and business. Enough theory to run a country. Not quite enough judgment to navigate one. Corporate conditioning, finance, consulting, law. In the mid-1990s, Reckless worked for UBS Warburg. In the late 1990s, he worked as a strategy consultant and associate in the financial services group at Booz Allen Hamilton. Until his election in May 2010, Reckless had been a solicitor at Herbert Smith and had worked on legal matters that involved private investigators. Although thankfully none with Barrett Holmes, he was a member of the Kent Police Authority from 2007 to 2011, a career path designed to teach one how power works, without ever requiring one to answer for it. He learned strategy. He learned positioning. He learned how to move between systems, which explains a great deal. Love and marriage. He managed to combine both of his loves in one go. Married a Tory and had a Brexit cheerleader for his best man. He married Katrina Brown at Westminster Cathedral on the 1st October 2011. The reception was held in the Palace of Westminster. His best man was Daniel Hannan NAP, Brexit Messiah. And after all, Reckless had been the best man at Hannan's wedding. On May 2015, Katrina Brown Reckless was elected as a UKIP councillor for Strood South in Medway. The beginnings of a Tory marriage made in wherever those things are made. She resigned on September 2016. In May 2022, she was elected as a Welsh Conservative councillor for the ward of Pen Turk and St Fagans in Cardiff. Sharpening his political knives. The usual suspects become the usual targets. Immigration. At the 2001 general election, Reckless stood as the Conservative Party candidate for the Medway constituency, coming second. During the campaign, He caused controversy by handing out a leaflet which claimed incumbent Labour MP Bob Marshall Andrews had a target: to admit 10,000 refugees per week. Andrews responded, saying he was quoted out of context in relation to assisting people fleeing genocide during the Kosovo War. Nothing really surprising. Perhaps more a prerequisite on your CV before you can become a deformed UK PLC member. The deregulation and the law and order myths. Between 2002 and 2014, Reckless was a member of the policy unit at Conservative Central Office, where he wrote a book on deregulation policy, as well as overseeing the development of the policy on directly elected police commissioners. The first Police and Crime Commissioner elections took place on the 15th of November 2012. So reckless by name and also reckless by nature, wanting to deregulate the powers of the police force, as if the police do not have enough power, which they regularly abuse. Thanks, Mr. Reckless. What a little charmer you are. Another winner. Mr. Reckless, in his early political career, was what is termed as always the bridesmaid but never the bride. A few close but no cigar attempts at climbing the greasy pole. In 2002, he was selected again to contest the Medway constituency at the 2005 UK general election. He again came second in the seat, although his opponent Bob Marshall Andrews' majority was reduced significantly from 3,750 to 213. Reckless served as a Medway councillor between 2007 and 2011. The first bite of the cherry. In 2010, Reckless was finally elected as a Conservative MP, with UKIP support. In 2008, Reckless was chosen by the Tories to contest the Rochester and Stroud constituency. He was elected at the 2010 general election, not because of his charm or sparkling personality, but because the UK Independence Party, the Kippers, did not run a candidate of their own in Rochester and Stroud in 2010, giving their lovely endorsement to Reckless and deploying their leader, Malcolm Pearson, to campaign for him. So he was already straddling two worlds, standing in one party while being quietly endorsed by another, a political double booking. Like attending two dinners at once and eating twice as much, and then ending up with food poisoning. The professional rebel, not just a rebel without a cause but a rebel with many flaws. 56 rebellions against his own party. The 13th most rebellious Conservative MP. No Blue Peter badge, not even a thanks for coming prize for that effort. Reckless was elected to the Home Affairs Select Committee in 2010. In this capacity, he often appeared on Newsnight and other political programs, arguing for the deportation of clerics Abu Hamza and Abu Qatada. He was one of Parliament's most rebellious MPs and was the 13th most rebellious Conservative MP between 2010 and 2014, casting 56 votes against the whip. That's not exactly a story to tell the grandchildren, though, is it? There were fleeting glimpses of humanity, however. He was one of only 6 Tory MPs to vote against the increase of university tuition fees, and was a critic of the government's energy policy, arguing that the government's energy bill introduced in December 2012 was a sad retreat for Conservatives, not quite the top rebel, not quite loyal, comfortably disruptive. He leads a revolt on the EU budget, defeats his own government, a man who joins the team and immediately starts rearranging the furniture, without asking or understanding where anything goes. Drunken honesty. He misses a vote. Was it because his alarm clock did not go off? Did he forget to set his alarm clock? No, it was because he was drunk. On July 2010, Reckless apologized for missing a vote on the budget because he was drunk. He said that he did not feel it was appropriate to take part in the vote because of the amount he had drunk. Admitted it. Remarkable. Most politicians lie about everything, He tells the truth about incompetence. Progress of a sort. Male MPs do like a few sherbets, even though this would not be allowed. In any other governmental position, it's considered a perk of the job in Westminster. I was too intoxicated to do my job. A sentence rarely said aloud yet frequently implied. The single-issue gravity well, Europe, the EU, the courts. Always circling, always returning, like a moth to a particularly bureaucratic flame. A Eurosceptic, Reckless is also a critic of the European Court of Human Rights, saying it erodes British freedom and democracy. Mr. Reckless ticks off another prerequisite membership box for joining deformed UK PLC. Some politicians have vision, others have obsessions. Reckless has a doom loop, the Faceless leap. On the 30th of September 2014, Reckless applied for the stewardship of the Chiltern Hundreds and therefore ceased to be an MP. A by-election was called on the 20th of November, at which Reckless was nominated to stand as the Kipper candidate. He was returned as a Member of Parliament for the Kippers, becoming the party's second elected MP. Conservative to Kipper, resigns, forces a by-election, wins again. It's bold, it's theatrical, it's political Parker. For a moment, he looks like a man of principle. And then you realize he's just very comfortable jumping. Gravity reasserts itself in 2015. On the 27th September of 2014, Reckless had defected to the UK Independence Party Kippers. At its party conference in Doncaster, he announced his resignation in order to seek re-election at a by-election. He became the second Conservative MP in the space of a month to defect to the Kippers, the first being his close friend Douglas Carswell. In a speech delivered to the conference, Mr. Reckless claimed that the Conservative leadership was not serious about real change on Europe, and that Britain could be better.
Today, I am leaving the Conservative Party and joining UKIP. People feel ignored, taken for granted, overtaxed, over-regulated, ripped off, and lied to. But I do feel that the leadership of the Conservative Party is part of the problem that is holding our country back.
UKIP policy is virtually the same as the Tory party.
On the contrary.
The idea that you are for ordinary people is ridiculous.
We should never have bailed out the banks. It was the worst decision that was made. Giving RBS all that taxpayers' money, having Lloyds take over the HBOS and putting all the money from my constituents into bailing out the bankers was the worst possible decision.
What would a UKIP government do?
We wouldn't have bailed out the bankers. What we want to do is we want to lift people out of tax. No one should pay tax under £13,000. We want to allow people to keep more of the money they earn, and we want to look after the hard-working people of this country.
Will the government stop blaming people at the bottom of society for society's ills and start blaming some of the people at the top of society, like the bankers, like the chief executives?
I agree with what you say.
How do you feel when people call you liars? And some of your former colleagues, in fact, the chairman of the Conservative Party on Sky News today said that you had lied to him. How do you feel about that?
Well, he would say that, wouldn't he? What I'm concerned about is...
So you didn't lie?
What I'm concerned about is keeping faith with my constituents and the promises I made to them in 2010 to cut immigration, deal with the deficit, reform our political system.
But Mark, let's be honest, you did lie. You did lie to colleagues.
You can't discuss these things in advance. What you can do is look at what you promised at the last election, and if your party isn't delivering on it, switch to a party who will.
But it's not that you just didn't discuss them. You actively said that you were not going to do this. You actively said you weren't.
I don't think people are concerned about what one politician said to another politician at some point in the past. What people are concerned about is what promises politicians make to them about how they're going to change their lives. The promises we made in 2010 were not being kept by the Conservative-led government. I switched to UKIP because their agents have changed. We can keep the promises finances and make money.
But Nigel, you also about trust in politics.
Yes.
Now, here is a man who has, openly admitted that he lied to his colleagues, lied to his chairman.
I didn't hear him do that.
Well, he did, though. He did. He said he was not going to defect.
Well, who knows what we're all going to do in the future? We've had conversations over a period of time. He finally made his mind up yesterday that he was going to do it. There's no problem with that. And after all, he hasn't changed his policies.
Are you doing a runner?
No.
Well, why? I thought you were going to do a walkabout in the streets with Nigel. Why is it not happening anymore? Mark, why are you not going to do it anymore? I thought you were going to do a walkabout in the streets. Why are you not doing it anymore, Mark?
We did a walkabout before. We had planned to start at 12, but in the end we started at 11 and did a walkabout first.
Although he won the by-election on the 20th of November 2014 as a Kipper candidate, in the 2015 general election, Reckless lost his seat to the Conservative candidate, Kelly Tolhurst. Oh dear, what a pity, how sad, never mind. In June of 2015, Reckless was made Director of Policy Development by the Kippers. They actually had some policies. Or that was just a rumour put about by people who should really know better. A quick recap of this. He loses his seat. The gamble collapses. The spotlight moves on. Turns out boldness is not the same as sustainability. Fireworks are impressive until they burn out. Wales, because why not? It's now 2016. In March 2016, Reckless was announced as the Kippers' lead candidate for the regional seat of South Wales East, despite having no previous links to Wales and no parachute failure here. As he was elected on the 5th of May 2016, he reappears in Wales. No deep roots, no strong ties, just arrives. Modern politics where geography is a suggestion, not a requirement. Elected to the Senate, because apparently political careers now come with fast travel and air miles. The party carousel. On the 6th of April 2017, Mr. Reckless left the Kippers to join the Conservative group. However, he did not rejoin the Conservative Party. This move made the Conservative group the second largest in the Welsh Assembly. Upon leaving, he said, "I leave you, Kip, positively, having achieved our joint aim." A successful referendum to leave the EU. On the 14th of April 2019, Reckless left the Conservative group over the party's failure to deliver Brexit. He then sat as an independent member before joining the Brexit Party the following month. On the 15th of May 2019, Reckless stated his intention to form a new Brexit Party political group in the Senate, along with Caroline Jones, Mandy Jones, and David Rowlands, with himself as the leader of the group. In July 2020, he attracted criticism from pro-devolution Brexit Party volunteers when he stated that he would support the campaign to abolish the Senedd. He then left the party and joined the Abolish the Welsh Assembly Party. He said, since Brexit had been effectively achieved, the work of the Brexit Party was complete. 2 weeks later, the Brexit Party was rebranded as Deformed UK plc. A different tune but the same old dance. Now observe this carefully. This is where the case becomes art. Conservative UKIP's Conservative group, sort of independent Brexit Party, Abolish the Welsh Assembly Party, Deformed UK plc. This is not a journey. This is a spin cycle. He doesn't cross the floor. He redecorates it. If loyalty were currency, he'd be bankrupt. If consistency were oxygen, we'd be holding a memorial. Movement as strategy. Why so many switches? Because movement creates headlines, and headlines create relevance. And relevance is the only currency that matters. Standing still invites questions. Moving constantly prevents them. It's not confusion. It's camouflage. The abolitionist resident. Reckless was the abolish candidate for Monmouth at the 2021 Senedd election, taking 1,173 votes, a 3.3%. He notably came behind the Conservative, turned independent MS Nick Ramsay, who was also unsuccessful in his re-election bid. Two sad ex-Tory losers, how delicious. Additionally, Reckless was the lead abolish candidate in South Wales East, with the party receiving 9,995 list votes, i 4.8%, and no seats. The abolitionist gets abolished. A sweet irony, one might say. He joins a party to abolish the Senedd, while sitting in the Senedd. A philosophical masterpiece, like a chef campaigning against food, or a pilot lobbying against gravity. It's not hypocrisy, it's performance art. Bad performance art. Circling the drain. He runs again. He loses again. Votes shrink. Support fades. The pattern completes. Rebellion, defection, brief success, eventual rejection, rinse, repeat. The afterlife of relevance. In November of 2024, Reckless appeared at Deformed UK plc's Wales conference as a speaker and a very flaccid member of the party. The other clowns had let him join the circus. He was later confirmed by Caroline Jones, also of Deformed Wales plc, to be working on Deformed's policies for Wales at the 2026 election, if only Deformed knew what policies were. In March 2026, Reckless was announced as Deformed's second-place candidate on their list for the Cardiff Penarth constituency. Ah yes, second place that has a familiarity for Mr. Reckless. And yet, he remains, advising, speaking, positioning, but only if it's second or further down the ranking. Because in politics, failure is not disqualifying. It's merely experience. Like crashing multiple cars and calling yourself a driving instructor. And Deformed UK plc are like a motorway pile-up. The summation. Let us try to simplify. Mark Reckless is not building a career. He is sustaining visibility, not committing to ideas. The last idea that anyone in Deformed UK plc had died of loneliness. Renting ideas on the cheap. Very short-term leases. No long-term investment. Ideology as a subscription service where the voter pays as the politicians go. They can cancel any time. No notice required. Leaving you, the voter, stuck with the bill. The human weather vane. So what is he, Mr. Mark Reckless? Not a traitor, not a hero, not even particularly unique. He is something far more revealing. A human weather vane. Turning with the wind. Never generating it, always reacting to it. Pointing in a direction, but never travelling there. In conclusion, the uncomfortable truth. And here lies the real horror. Not that Mark Reckless exists, but that the system accommodates him, encourages him, even rewards him. Because when movement is valued more than meaning, men like this one do not fail, they flourish. And so we close the file. Not shocked, not amused, just unsurprised. Because once you understand the pattern, you realize he is not an exception. He is a feature. Until next time, like, comment, subscribble, and share widely. Stay observant. Stay skeptical. Question everything. I remain Barrett Holmes. And these are the files from the defective defectors.